I hope that you can see me coming on today to talk about being lost in the sauce. This is a name I stole, by the way, from my friend. She goes, you should do something saying you're lost in the sauce. And I agree with her because I do say this quite a bit. What does this mean? So let me give you a little bit of backstory. Back in 2019, 2020, like right before the whole world shut down, I really started to think about, I was already doing boot camps and I was already doing like masterminds and some master classes and putting together like workbooks and things like that. And some of the things that I started to notice was that if you didn't have an online presence, it was very difficult for brick and mortar businesses to have a steady flow of leads coming in. Even if they were running ads, even if they were doing like cold calling, if they were doing door hangers, they were doing all of the other traditional marketing pieces to this. Even some of them even were doing like guerrilla marketing, like door to door, right? And I'll be honest with you, throughout my entire career in marketing for the last 20 years, I've done all of these. I have either worked for a company, did them myself as an entrepreneur. I have helped my clients do them. So I have a very good understanding of all of this, okay? And so one thing I started noticing was in 2019 and 2020 that the online presence of the practices or the companies or whoever it was that I was working with were really struggling. Most of them did not have a very solid online presence. So I started to develop a couple of tools. First off, I developed myself. I really needed to get updated with the times because I started in marketing when it was, I mean, it was before MySpace, but what it was called, I don't even remember what it was called. It was probably group chats, like Yahoo's, AOL's, like those kind of things. Like I did a lot of marketing back then in those kind of areas. I also used to run newspaper ads, okay? Like I'm that old that I ran newspaper ads for leads and they worked. They worked so well. I grew my entire business like with newspaper ads way back when. And I'm talking like 2006, 7, 8, okay, newspaper ads. I used to do the flyers too, like the rip-off flyers. Like I grew my business that way. So I've done a little bit of everything. I think it all works. It can all work. You don't have to do it all. But I know today, no matter what type of business you are, if you are a brick and mortar business that's just starting, or if you've been in business for 20 years, or you've been in business for 50 years, or if you are not even wanting a brick and mortar business, you just want to run your business completely online, and you want low overhead, and you want everyone to find you from your online presence, then you guys better really figure out what is needed, right? And this is where the whole lost in the sauce thing can come in. Because it's like you can easily get overwhelmed within about 1.2 seconds. There's so many different pieces to this when you're coming through. So if you're a brick and mortar business or even an online business, you probably have a website. And if you don't have a website, it's probably on your to-do list one day. Am I right? I'm probably right. I know for me, my very first thing I ever built was a website. I did a business card and then a website. Like those were my two big pieces of marketing when I first started my businesses back 15, 20 years ago. So I did that, and I knew on my website that there was always a vision of kind of what I wanted. I needed that overall like design and the layout, and I needed the messaging to be right, and I wanted all the pieces there, but I also needed SEO. Then I needed a blog. I needed to make sure all my keywords were in place. I needed meta descriptions. I needed to make sure all my buttons worked. I needed to figure out how I was going to get people to see my website. And today we use a lot of that through social media or through old school traditional marketing, right? So once that piece is laid out, then you got to figure out like the channels that are going to be bringing people to that website, or how are you going to use that website to amplify your expertise or your services or your product or whatever it is. So those are just a few pieces in here. So the reason I'm talking about this today is because I know that there's so many people that I work with and I talk to, and I've worked with in the past. Like, I think at this point I've probably reviewed over 1,000 websites just since 2018. Like, it's a lot of websites I've looked at, I've reviewed, I've given feedback on. And I know that there's just certain things that each website needs. Okay. You're looking at your homepage, your about page, your contact information, your blog, your menus, your navigation menus, looking at the overall arching brand and the messaging that's specifically on there, looking at meta tags. You're looking at keyword optimization, looking at the URL structure. And what that means is, like, when you go to my website, camishots.com / is that / page 1, page 2, or page 11124, blah, 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 so on and so on. Like, does it say all of that on there? If so, then we probably need to fix your URL piece, okay, the structure of that. Also looking at internal linking, backlinking, external linking, all of those pieces need to be looked at, making sure that this is going on. And I know that this can be really, really overwhelming, because I did this. I was overwhelmed. I had no idea. I didn't have YouTube when I first started building websites. So I really had to, like, search and follow directions and read books. And I had to do all kinds of crazy things to figure out how to build a website when I first started. And it's not easy. We know that it's not easy, but it can be so critical to your website, to your presence, to your, I'm going to say existence of being expertise. Okay. An expert in here. Okay. This stuff is wrong. Everything else kind of starts fumbling around. Have you ever gone to a website that you're like, wow, this person's so amazing, or this business is so amazing, and then you go to that website and then that website is just horrible? It's stock photoed, the colors are weird, the links don't work, the messaging is either way too much or way too little and doesn't give you enough information. You feel kind of lost by just looking at it. Then this is exactly what I'm talking about here. You're probably lost in the sauce. They're probably lost in the sauce. They don't know how to make it better. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So even with that, you start to look also at the funnels that are pulling people in, the lead capture forms. Are people able to opt in on the website for, like, an email subscription or a lead magnet of some sort? If they do log into those things, then where does that contact information go? Have you accessed it? Have you checked lately on your website by going into the admin portion to see if you have any messages, people messaging you? Yes, there's can be spam, but there could also be legit messages. I was just on a client's website the other day, and I was like, hey, did you notice this message that you got about this person wanting your service? Like, have you reached back out to them? She was like, no, I haven't. I'm going to do that right now. I'm like, great, because it's like from 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? So we want to be on top of those things. So you'd want to find out too, like, where is that email going? Where's the notifications going on the back end? Okay. Do you have a contact chat, like a live chat function? Is that all roboted, or do you have an app that you're responding to people with? If so, what are the prompts that are in there? What does that experience look like? Is it easy to contact you? Or is it, I'm going to send you a message and I got to sit around and wait for a week or 2 or 3 or 5 until you find the message to message me back? Like, how easy is it for people to contact you, get in touch with you, complain to you, order services from you, products from you, whatever that looks like? Why am I going through this? You're probably like, why is she talking about this? Why? Because it's almost the beginning of the year, and I know you've been working really, really hard this year on either selling your services, starting your business, selling your products, trying to put all the pieces together. Now you need to go in there with a critical eye and figure out, how can I do this better? What's the experience like for a customer? Put yourself in the customer's shoes. How easy is it? Does it make sense? Step by step by step. They go to your home page, and then from the home page, they go to the About You page. From the About You page, they go to your services or your products. What does that look like? Do they can they choose the products and order them right online? Do they need to message you to order a service? Or how does that look? And does it make sense? I worked with a client this year, and she did jewelry. and it was like charms. And so some of the things we did with her website was like making sure that all of her charms, like they were like step process, stepped first the customer through. Step 1, choose this. Step 2, choose that. Then she got to choose. The customers typically would choose like 4, 5, 6 different charms for the necklace or the bracelet or whatever it was, and she would have option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had to optimize all of that and make it user friendly, because otherwise people were just messaging her, and she was like, I don't want people messaging me. I want people to go to my website and put their orders in there, and I want to wake up and it's done. And that's what she wanted, right? So we had to fix the website to make it that way. We had to do that. So that's why I'm talking about this, because now is the time to pull back, have a critical eye, look at what this looks like for your customer, and then go start making the changes and the tweaks that need to be done. First though, you gotta like look at it, you gotta audit it, make sure you have all the pieces. So once they go to the product or the service, then from there they're probably going to looking at maybe your blog, or maybe they're looking at how to work with you, right? It's like there's a couple different pieces on a website. So looking through that as well. Is your messaging right? Are your blogs in alignment with attracting your dream client? Or is it answering your dream client's questions? Is it giving the value? Is it setting it up? Or is it all just AI generated? And it's just like, you can tell it's AI generated, by the way, with like a lot of emojis. That's my first giveaway. If you are using ChatGPT or any of the other AI softwares, and you're using this and it's got emoji, remove the emojis. Start there. After that, ask ChatGPT for this prompt and just say, hey, can you make this relatable and conversational to attract my dream client or my dream customer or whatever it is. ChatGPT, if they don't know who your dream client is, and ask them, say, do you know who my dream client is? Or can you explain to me who my dream client is? If they give it to you and it's like, yes, this is correct, perfect. Now make this blog for them. If they don't know it, then you need to seed it, train it, how to attract who specifically is your dream client, so that way they can start to find you, right? Your messaging is so important. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she was like, how do you just attract somebody? Like, what's the difference? I go, well, and I explained to her, when I first came onto Instagram, my messaging, even though I knew what I was talking about, it wasn't aligning my branding, my messaging with the clients that I was trying to attract. So I had to keep tweaking, pivoting, adjusting my colors, figuring out exactly my bio, looking at all those pieces to make sure that when that person landed on my site, they were like, oh, this is something I'm really interested in. I can learn more here. I can put all of this together, right? So this is kind of some of those things that I think would be really helpful as you are planning for next year to start looking at. Are there any broken links, or does anything give like error pages? And if they are error pages, make sure that those are getting fixed, right? And you've got to kind of click around. You've got to act like the customer. Be the customer. Where are they going? They find your link. Great. Now what happens? They click the link. From that link, they go to your homepage. They scroll down. They look on the things. They click on all the links. They follow the links. Or any of those links broken? I know this is a lot, but guess what? This is how you get lost in the sauce, by not knowing how to do this stuff either, right? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then message me. I actually have like a checklist. I can go through this with you, if that would be helpful. I have a checklist. So, and it's free. It's a free checklist. I'll give it to you. Or you can just message me down below and put free checklist, and I'll literally send it to you. Because over so many years of me doing this, it got to the point where I was like, I need to create a tool that's easy for me to help my clients or the people that I'm working with, or I can just give to you and you can do it yourself, right? So there's that tool. So act as the customer, make sure that like everything is going the right way. And we're just talking about the website right now. We haven't got to your social media yet. Okay. And I definitely want to talk on that today too, because I know that a lot of people I'm working with are brick and mortars or coaches, or they have product businesses, or they have some sort of service that they're providing, and they're using both. They're using the website and they're using social media, and they're trying to combine the two things. but maybe it's just not hitting correctly just yet, right? So let me get a drink. All right. So, I have some cucumber water. It's so good. I get those like English cucumbers, and I just chop up like 5 or 6 pieces, and I put them in these thermoses, and it just stays cold all day, and it's very smooth tasting. I love cucumber water. It's so good. It like takes that like thirst right out. All right, so what else? All right, so you're preparing for next year, right? You're here watching me on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram and you're watching me, you're probably going to want to look at a couple different things for your social media platforms, specifically Instagram, because that's where we're connecting right now. But maybe you watch this video later on YouTube, or maybe you watch it on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever I post this. We want to make sure that there's a couple things specifically in your social media platforms as well that are just rocking. That's the best way I can say it. It's rocking it out. We want to make sure your bio is complete, your profile picture, your cover photo. Your cover photos are specifically on like there's the highlight covers, and then like social media profile on Facebook page. You have your cover, your headers. That's what we're talking about there. Like making sure that those photos are not blurry. It makes sense. It's not too overcrowded. It's not too busy. It's branded to yourself as well. And you want consistency in branding across all platforms. So if you go to my YouTube, or you go to my Facebook, or you go to my Instagram, or my Threads, or my Pinterest, my TikTok, my Clapper, I'm sure I have one more in here and I can't think of it right now. My LinkedIn, did I say LinkedIn? I think so. If you go to any of these platforms, the goal is you would see the same picture, the same messaging, the same headers, the same coloring, everything's matching. Okay. Why? It's kind of like Tide, or it's like, it's like Tide, it's like Nike, it's like Apple, it's like any of these big brands. We know it's an Apple product by the apple. We know it's Tide by the coloring and the logo that's on there. We know that, that these are the products because they already have that logo on there, that labeling on there, the swoosh, the Nike swoosh on everything, right? So we want to make sure that all of your platforms are exactly the same as well. So you do need to make sure that it's optimized for each platform. So on Instagram, you have like 150 characters on your bio. On Facebook, and I could be wrong, but I think it's 120 characters, could be 140 characters, something like that. On YouTube, you have a lot more space. On LinkedIn, you got even more space. So you want to make sure that each place is optimized for the right thing. So you can say the same thing, but it can be less or more depending on the platform. If you need help with that, message me, I'll help you out. All right. You want to make sure as well, you're looking at your metrics. Look at the engagement metrics. Go to your analytics. Your business page should probably, or your Instagram profile should be set up as like a creator page, unless you are already a very big business. And big businesses being like a Target, a Starbucks, those type of companies, Walmart. I don't think anyone following me is like that. If you are, say hi. I don't think you are though. So make sure that you have all of those pieces as well as you're going across. Okay. So Instagram, make sure that that's set up as a creator profile, have your Facebook business page, have your LinkedIn business page, and your LinkedIn personal page as well. Cause those are two different things. You're a personal brand, right? And if you're a personal brand, then you can just build it out there. Make sure you have your work experience, make sure you have all of those pieces that are there. And then once you do all of that, then you're going to start to look at the frequency, the timing. You can look at all of that stuff. You can look and see how well did you do? What could you have done better? What did you really like doing this year? For me this year, I really enjoyed Reels and I enjoyed Stories. Those are like my two really favorite things that I did. And I feel like I did them very well this year. So go look in and do kind of a quick audit of just what's going on your pages on all the platforms that you're on now, and see which ones you need to update. Do you need to update the pictures? Do you need to update the bios? Do you need to update the covers if you have highlight covers? I know Facebook used to have like stories there, or not stories, highlights there as well. I don't think they do anymore. I think they took them off. But when I did have them, I would have those on there. So I noticed as well yesterday on YouTube that I now have access to being able to put posts on YouTube, which I didn't have access to do that prior, last time I checked. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So maybe that's something that I want to put in my strategy next year, right? So you're just kind of overlooking and just, you're clicking in, you're doing an audit. Where are you now? Where's everything going? Is it all matching? Is it attracting the right people? This is a big one. I did this the other day with another lady. We were going in and I was showing her how to find out if the person that's following her is her type of audience. And what we did was we ended up looking on one of her posts, and then we looked at the people that were commenting below. And she was like a fitness instructor, the lady's profile that we were looking at. She was a fitness instructor and she was gorgeous, and her stuff that she was talking about was nutrition and body positivity and all the things, right? And so when I go down and I look at the comments, it's flooded with, now her target audience as well, I should mention this, her target audience was women that were like 25 to 35 years old. Her audience below that was leaving messages were men that most of the time only had a name. They had no Facebook, or they didn't Facebook. They had no like Instagram headshot picture. They had nothing there. You could tell they were just kind of like spammy accounts or just whatever accounts. There was probably a good 90-10 ratio, 90% men, 10% women. She was not attracting the right people. A couple of reasons why she wasn't attracting the right people. One, I'm going to say her messaging on her bio was not very clear whatsoever. Her images were more or less covering, right? So it was already kind of provocative, which I have no problem with. That's her account. But the men were attracted to that. So that was creating conversation that wasn't the intention behind the content she was putting out, which it's hard for her to sell the package or the program or the products that she's wanting if it's not attracting the right people, right? So that was kind of another big reason down there. Another thing on top of that is her messaging was not clear in her descriptions. There were no call to actions whatsoever. Like, she would take a picture of herself on the beach or at the pool. I remember seeing one at the pool, and she was kind of laying on a lounge chair, just like, doing her thing. And it just said, great day to be healthy, or something like that, and like a sunshine. And I was like, okay, beautiful picture. She looks fantastic. The environment's fantastic, but the messaging was so off. She was not going to be able to hit her target goal with where she was trying to go. Like, the engagement was not there with the type of people that we would want, right? So those were some of the things that we noticed. So with that comes hashtag usage. Like, what's the effectiveness of the hashtags we're attracting? I talk about this all the time. Like, I don't want to attract other business coaches. I'm a business coach. Perfect. So my thing was freezing. I want to attract people that have new businesses. I want to attract business owners. I want to attract women entrepreneurs, mompreneurs. I want to attract people who are trying to overcome procrastination and who have big goals and they want to achieve them. I'm trying to attract the women, the moms, the wives who have really big dreams and they're like, now's my time. I'm going to move forward. And I'm also trying to attract the women who already have established businesses who just need some accountability and figuring out what to do next, the project management piece of it, right? So even for me, I'm making sure that my hashtags are pulling in the right people, because if I get an influx of musicians, of, Nashville new musicians, I'm like, okay, something's obviously wrong with my strategy. I need to adjust what's going on because I'm not attracting the right people. And this takes a lot of trial and error and seeing what happens, right? Anytime I search for a hashtag, and if you didn't know, Instagram is actually a search engine now. You can go to your search and just type in women-based businesses and boom, people will pop up. You can type in bakeries, boom, people pop up. You know, so it's a lot different. It's kind of like Google now or Pinterest versus before. It was like you had to put a hashtag in, but you can still search a hashtag and you can put a hashtag bakery in there, or hashtag bakery in Phoenix or bakery in Illinois or wherever you are. You can put that in there and it's going to start to come up with other people who use that hashtag as well. And it allows you to see like how active is it. And on top of that, you can see, is the people using this hashtag, is this relevant for me today? Does this make sense for my content to be showing up around this content as well? For example, I think I posted something once and it was like women procrastinating or something like that. And it was like I totally wonked that one. It didn't work. And when I looked into it, it was like women who were like intentionally procrastinating, not what I was intentionally trying to do, which was like women getting over their procrastination, right? Like they were achieving their goals. They're trying to get there. Not like people who were like, yes, today I am procrastinating. I am not doing it, right? So you have to kind of be a little smarter than the algorithm sometimes, I'm going to say. All right. So if you're running ads, this is a whole different conversation. We got to definitely make sure if it's applicable, we're looking at where you're running ads to. Is your messaging on point? What type of piece of content are you doing? Are you doing a reel? Or are you doing story ads? Are you doing static ads? Like, what is it specifically? You know, and then all of this overall is like just that storytelling and the visual appeal. Is it inviting? Does it stand out, or is it just kind of lost in the sauce with everybody else's stuff, right? So there's so many different things, and I know that I've named off of a lot of things, but really as you are beginning for next year, this is some of the pieces that you want to start looking at. You want to pull yourself back and walk yourself through. And to be honest with you, I typically give myself an hour to 2 hours every time I do this audit, because I always find things that need to be updated. And I just take my good old notebook and my pen and I just write down every single thing that I need to get done. Everything that needs to be updated, everything that needs to be revamped, everything that needs to be added or deleted, or everything that's broken that needs to be fixed. If I need to outsource it to somebody else, I write down who I need to outsource it to. Like I really just kind of go through this. It's about an hour or two. It's very in depth. But I'm going to tell you, if you're going to do anything for your business today, don't think of another program. Don't think of another package. Don't think of raising your prices or lowering your prices. Don't think of any of that until you do this, because all of that won't matter until you do this. So I hope this was really helpful for you. Just so you know, I am running a special for a What's Missing audit. So I'm going to do all of this for you. I'm going to go in and look at your website and look at your social medias. And I'm going to do all of that for you. It's only $75. I've only got room for 3 more people. So normally I would charge about $150 to do this whole package for you, but it's my birthday month. So that is why I am also trying to give back as much as I can and just help you prepare for next year. If this is something of interest to you, all you have to do is message me, or you can go straight to the page, which is workwithkami, KAMI.com. And that also can take you right to the page. It'll show you exactly what I'm going to be covering, and how everything goes. So pretty much the way it would work if you decided you were interested in doing this is that you're going to fill out an assessment, and then from there, I am going to take that assessment and I'm going to open up my Zoom and I'm going to start going through all of your pieces. I'm going to look at your website. I'm going to look at all your social medias. I'm going to look at all your buttons. I'm going to look at all your lead magnets, your pop-ups, all the links possibly that I could find. I'm going to do a Google search on you. And I'm going to make sure that everything that we're looking for is exactly what you're wanting people to see, right? Like if you're trying to promote something, like, does it make sense? I'm going to look at that messaging, the hashtags. I'm going to look at your bio links on all of your platforms, not just Instagram and not just your website. Like if you have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all the things, I'm going to look at all the things. If you have 1 or 2, I'm going to look at those things. Okay. So it's going to be a full comprehensive audit for you. Okay. Once I start doing that, I have 48 hours to get that report back to you. It's going to be a video report. And then you'll have the strategic changes that need to be done for you for 2025. If that's something of interest to you, if you're ready to elevate your strategy, definitely message me or go to workwithcami.com. I hope this was really, really helpful. I don't want you to be lost in the sauce anymore. I know it can be so overwhelming, and I'm just trying to help you get it off. Get all that overwhelm off your plate. All right, have a great day. Bye.